Yo, what's up? What's up? It's Hungry Millennial back again with yet another proactive pragmatism. On today's proactive pragmatism, I'd like to talk to you about martyrdom. I'd like to talk to you about martyrdom because as of late, within the past year, I've noticed a lot of people making themselves a martyr for causes while jumping to conclusions and not having all the facts. And they will become a martyr because they're trying to save their ego and save their pride from gathering the appropriate information to make decisions and to make statements about facts. Martyrdom comes in different facets. So I like to analyze this from becoming the people's martyr, people becoming the martyr for situations that they believe to be true, and people becoming a martyr for how they believe things should be instead of living in reality. So first of all, let's talk about becoming a martyr of the people. So currently we are in the age of social media where the person that gets to the news first and cries the loudest about said scenario is held at some weird elite level because now they've got 30,000 shares within 10 minutes. Which, yeah, it's good, but you have to realize that people are inherently chaotic. So it's good and it's bad, right? Because people will run through things and use people's patriotism or their belief in religion or their belief in a certain style of living or their belief in picking themselves up by their bootstraps. Whatever, left or right thing you subscribe to, people will play into those, especially when it's negative news, because negative news looks a lot better than positive news. So often what I'll see is somebody will post an image, right? The image has enough passion in it, but it'll be politically incorrect. It'll have half facts. It'll have a statement or a quote by somebody, but it won't be all of it. And that's when, so often I see people, talking about political stances, right, left, whatever it may be. I'll often go and YouTube the actual video and the actual statements of the people making the statements. And often you'll find is people will use sound bites to promote their specific people and their specific leaders that tie to a certain ideology. I also see this amongst people in the military. So what they will do is they will martyr for the cause of someone who they hold in high regards. I'm not saying that these people are bad people, but when other people have other experiences about them, it's hard for them to break their mental model that they've built up about how holy or how greater than thou or how awesome this person is because they're in their social circle. Because it creates cognitive dissonance because this is their person, and now other information is coming out on this person that they are not what they are perceived to be. They don't take the actions. They're not, as we like to coin the phrase in the hip hop community, they're not about that life. So their actions don't match their words. They don't walk it like they talk it. And what will happen is people will make them a martyr for these people and will swear up and down, but we're not with those people 24/7. So we've got to be able to step away from the person and from idolizing said people to where we are destroying ourselves in order to save someone else's reputation. At the end of the day, we are all held personally responsible for our actions, and we have to make the steps. Whether we get caught in the wrong or not, it's on us to make the steps to not make said decisions again, not make said mistakes again. Because once you know better, you can do better. Before we get into our next topic of situations, I'd like to give a word to our sponsors, Anchor. Yo, what's up? What's up? It's the Hungry Millennial back again with yet another proactive pragmatism. Let's continue. So let's talk about people making themselves martyrs for situations. So often what people will do is, so I found this in the military, right? So instead of people critically thinking about a problem or how to solve that problem, they will often hoop and holler and yell and scream until they're blue in the face for people to do what they told them to do, even though there's not logic backing said situation. So instead of utilizing logic, they forgo logic and then they become a martyr for their own cause. So they end up being exhausted. They end up looking like an idiot in front of a bunch of other people, in front of the leaders, because they wanted something their way. They wanted to jump to a conclusion to save their ego in the situation instead of looking at the facts. Variables do change. It's a part of my line of work in the military. Variables always change. So I can't let my ego and my pride make me a martyr for the last scenario, because the scenario tomorrow and the next day may call for different decisions. And in order to lead my troops, in order to take care of my employees, I have to be adaptable and not become a martyr to a situation. Also, people often, so the third way people become a martyr is they become a martyr to how they think things should be. So instead of living in reality, for instance, they pedestalize the situation. They pedestalize the organization. They pedestalize the pride that they have in said thing instead of looking behind the veil. So for a lot of people, it's hard for people to understand that the military is not perfect. Often a lot of things that are solved are more reactive in nature than proactive, because until you have all the facts in an organization that's as huge as the United States military, you can't really make the most effective decision. And sometimes it does come down to having to make a decision on the fly without all the variables. That's just how war goes. Also, working in the restaurant industry, often people think that all of the food should be perfect and everything. Yes, that would be amazing in a Walgreens type of world, but that's just not reality. And the more that we can embrace how things are, the faster we can solve those problems. I've seen it many times with upper level management. They say these things should be this, 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 and this, but they don't realize that the people underneath them are so tired of the upper levels be micromanaging them that they often don't even tell them about the problems that they're having. So they can't realistically solve things. And so, at higher levels, what often happens is there's this fantasy land of everything is great, everything is wonderful, until it comes down to the wire and that organization actually has to do their job. And they don't have the resources, they don't have the staff, they don't have the management. I've seen this plenty of times in managing restaurants where they believe that just because someone else is great, they have the capability of training somebody else to be great. But oftentimes what you'll have is Michael Jordan won't make a great coach. And sometimes it seems like he's a lackluster GM. However, he was super talented, right? But we're looking at, people using their ego, like he's talented, he's going to make everybody else great. That's just not true. They're in the world of sports shows that a lot of people who can't play at a higher level often have the ability to coach, because they have the ability to detach from their ego. They have the ability to not be a martyr for the cause. Case in point, Bill Belichick. He didn't really make it well as a collegiate level football player. He dabbled in lacrosse, but here we are, 10, 20 years later, 30 years later, and he's one of the greatest coaches to ever step on a football field. But that's because he knew his strengths and there was a realistic view of things. There was no martyrdom, and often he was forced to study things at a level that gave him and his organization a strategic advantage. Even as an offensive lineman, he knew that he wasn't the best physically or athletically or from a talent standpoint. So he had to learn how to read defenses. He played center for a good majority of his short football career, obviously longer than mine because he played at the collegiate level, right? But he used those strengths to read a defense to create awesome schemes. And so we have to be realistic and not be a martyr for causes based off of what we believe people are, or how situations should be, or how situations are in the moment, right? A great quote that I love by Colin Powell is, "It'll look better in the morning." Sometimes we have to detach and look at things the next day without making a rush decision. And often that will help us not be a martyr for a cause that we don't have the variables for. So, this is the Hungry Millennial. I appreciate you guys. This is me telling you, don't be a martyr for a cause when you don't have all the variables. Let your ego go, put your ego aside, and use the facts to make decisions. Hungry Millennial out. Thank you.